with the Cardiff City phone in once again. The stuff that goes on behind the scenes is best to leave it behind the scenes. What happened on tour and all the rest of it. So we'll just crack on with the show now. So we got a first-time guest, which is always great. So Richard Lewis, Rich, thanks very much for coming on. Great to get you on. I know you like the show. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for inviting me.
Mr. Steve Wiggins of Wigginshire is here once again. And welcome back, Steve.
Good evening, Steve. Good evening, gents. Nice to see you.
Good evening. And David Collins. Great to get David on the show. And David, I know we talked beforehand. You had an idea of some other kind of topic that you might want to have a look at tonight, which is related to the realm that we occupy. Actually, Dave, I'll go to you first, actually, because one of the amazing match. It was one of the most exciting matches I can remember at Cardiff City for years, actually. And after the game, this might sound like this is quite nice, really. Is after the match, because all the away fans they all walk out at the same time these days. Years ago it wouldn't have happened, even if it was Leyton Orient. But you walk around, there they are with the Leyton Orient scarves. I went straight over to one of them. I said, "What an amazing match! You really had to go there. What a great game of football." It was just fantastically exciting, David, but in a bit of a kind of a surreal and fairly early pantomime, silly season way, wasn't it?
Well, I still can't decide if it was the best game I've ever seen or the worst game I've ever seen. Because in the first half, Cardiff City were simply dreadful.
First half wasn't that great, no.
No. They scored a good goal. Slightly, I wouldn't say against the run of play, but they weren't bombarding Orient with shots. And then Osho decided, I know what I'll do. I'll kick it straight to their centre forward.
He couldn't have set him up better, could he?
No, it would have been. He should get an assist for that.
Yeah.
And then bizarrely in the second half, he did it again.
Yeah.
One of the reasons I like watching Cardiff City is because I can let off a bit of steam and be the angry youth that I never really was. And I stood up at one point and said, "Do you know how long I've been coming down here?" And I shouted it at Osho from like 50 yards away, and people around me. But I suppose the point I was making was, look, I think I deserve better than this. It was absolutely dreadful. But then, cometh the hour, cometh the man. Dylan Lawler, who I described on one of our WhatsApp groups as simply the best player in the world, bar none, he just kind of strolled through the emptiness.
What a goal.
A la Yaya Toure, and hit a shot that a keeper should have saved.
Yep.
And then Orient scored with a worldie, and then we scored 2 goals in like 30 seconds. And I thought, hang on, which game am I watching here? Am I watching the debris of the first half, or am I watching Argentina versus West Germany? And it was just. Somebody said to me this evening, if football was always like that, you'd go all the time. But give me,
David,
it was bonkers.
Yeah. I mean, the thing that came into my mind a little bit about it, I kind of remember I was talking to somebody. It was a guy next to me at the match, and I just said it reminds me of that Vindaloo song. We'll score one more than you.
Yeah.
It's that kind of thing, wasn't it?
It was almost crazy. We'll concede one more than you, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because they, Lawler was tremendous, but they did rather. It was a bit after you, Claude, after you, Cecil, as they all stood aside and let him waltz through 50 yards.
Yeah.
Their second goal, it was an own goal with an assist from an own goal. And it was
a mess of a goal, wasn't it?
And Osho did his best to just hand the game to Leyton Orient. It was the most.
Yeah.
It was the most. But I think, to be serious slightly, I think that defeat against Burton probably did them good, because they were starting to believe their own publicity, I think, as if they would just got to turn up, we're Cardiff City, and we'll just steamroller the whole division. Well, life's just not like that. And unfortunately, they haven't got a Morrison, a Kavanagh, or a McPhail, to G them up. They've all got to grow up together. And they kind of did that on Saturday. They just about got away with it. And maybe the next phase of the season will be slightly more realistic. We're still third. We're still in there.
Yeah, a couple of points.
Stephen has got a game in hand, but it was a bit of a wake up call. That the Burton game was almost almost worse than the Bradford game. Bradford, a better team, just beat us on the day. But Burton was that was quite worrying.
Yeah. So David's made a couple of interesting points. I'll go to you, Rich, next. Just before I do, I was just, I don't know what the name of the guy was. It was like you're in a stadium, you're standing next to someone. The next thing you know, 5 minutes later, you're hugging each other and dancing around the stadium together. I don't know. The guy saved my life, But we were talking about the kind of shambolic defending, and on the way in, I was looking up on the side of the stadium, and it's for all of us, a lot of us of a certain age, there's certain players up there on the side of the stadium who kind of really, mean everything to us, really, as Cardiff City fans. And one of them is Don Murray. And I said to the chap next to me, I said, imagine Don Murray being asked to play from the back and seeing that kind of defending, right? But on a serious note, Rich, I've had a reminder from somebody who knows the family and a request. So genuinely, I absolutely couldn't be more sincere about it. One of my all-time heroes. Our thoughts go to Don Murray and his family, because obviously he's he continues to be not in great health, and what a wonderful player for Cardiff City. And I'm sure everyone from this show sends their love and best wishes to Don and his family. Rich, what David's talking about there is an interesting one, because I thought a little bit of the same thing with the Burton thing. Because last week on the show, I don't know, Steve, you probably saw it. End of the show, you go around. What's the score going to be? We're going to beat Burton. We're going to do Orient. We're going to do Newport 3 in a row, 3 in a row, 3 in a row. Yeah, no problem, right? And then the Burton thing happened, and I think a little bit of that did filter through probably into the performance, because do you get that impression that sometimes, because they're all human beings, do you think these players start to believe their own press and maybe think all we got to do is turn up and we can stroll it,
I think there was an element of that against Burton. I mean, we had 77% possession. I think it was against Burton.
20 shots.
Yeah, and but actually, a lot of people have disagreed with me when I've said this since, but I actually don't think Burton looked that bad a team. I thought they were
hard to beat.
Players. Yeah, and I was actually surprised that they were bottom of the, based on league from going into it. I mean, I thought, this is going to be a walk in the park for us. I predicted an easy 3-0 win, and I thought, that'll be an easy one for us. They're not in good form, but actually, they're not the worst side I've seen us play this season. I think there's been a lot better teams who have come to us or we've gone to, who don't look as good as what Burton did, and subsequently since Burton drew on the weekend as well, I believe. So they've had a pretty
came from behind.
Yeah, so they've had a good week picking up 4 points there. So I actually don't think they're that bad a side. But yeah, I do think there was an element of that where I think a lot of the players thought, we can just turn up, we can just play our own game, and you always get this every season or every. I was saying to my son just yesterday, I said, you said, disappointing the Burton result, and we were talking about Saturday's game, and I said, every season, I said, we seem to have a game where we think we're going to win, we're going to coast it, and we have so many chances and efforts and possession, but we just can't break them down, and then they go up the other end, have one chance and score, and that seemed to be the game for us, that Burton game, it was frustrating really after the Burton game. It definitely was.
And what about I mean, if we're like any of the rest of us, people of a certain age in particular, it's not good for our health, watching a match like that. What how did you interpret that? It was like literally was just schoolboy defending, wasn't it? Crazy defending.
Over the both games, really. I think. I think in the last international break, that really derailed us. But I am welcoming this international break now, because what I'm hoping that Brian Barry Murphy can actually get the lads who are not away back on the training pitch and really drill them defensively, because we've looked all over the shop the last two games. The only thing I can put that down to and attribute it to, and I'm not saying these two guys are bad players, because I think they're decent, but I think when we're chopping and changing our centre halves all the time, we're bringing Chambers or Osho, it's upsetting the rhythm of the team, it's upsetting the balance. And I think at the minute, William Fish and Dylan Lawler, for me, with Nathan Trott behind them, we're building such a solid foundation and a solid base in defence that I think when we're messing with that, it's to our detriment.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. And a Trott, again, with a couple of amazing saves, arguably very good candidate for man of the match. We didn't see that coming against Orient. Steve, there's a comment here from Martin, which kind of goes back to what Rich is saying, really, which I think a lot of people have been thinking about after the game. I think I was in the traffic on the way back, and I was listening to a bit of Radio Wales, and Jason Perry was on. Here's another one. Jason, what we're gonna do is we'll take a cold kick up. We're gonna tappy across the back line. No, right? That ain't happening. But
where?
Yeah, it'd be in the back of the stand before we played across the back. Steve, that point there from Martin, because what Jason said, he's another one I really look up to, by the way, Jason. Not as much as Don, but he's right up there. Mm-hmm. But he said about that thing which Rich said about you've got your central defensive partnership, right? And the word partnership is in there, So why don't you stick with a pair who get to know how each other play, and then when it goes wrong, make a change. But otherwise, go with it. What's your thoughts, Steve, as a renowned striker on defensive tactics?
Well, I would have really enjoyed that game Saturday because it was physical. What I'd say about the back four, as we started with, we looked a lot stronger when he went to a back three, and we had Fish. Fish came on as sub, Lola in the middle, and Osher was playing on the right hand side, and I thought we looked a lot better playing three at the back there, five midfield, and with Capaccio and Begum pushing on. I thought to single out, Jeff's made a good point, to single out Osho. Yes, he made two chronic mistakes, and surely if you do it once, if you pass the ball back once and get caught out, why on earth would you want to try it again? And you mentioned Don Murray and Jason Perry early on, Steve. You wouldn't have seen that, I don't think, from Don Murray, Brian Harris, Steve Derrett, Phil Dwyer back in the olden days. There seems to be a bit of a reluctance. If you're in trouble, and this is right across our back four now, if you're in trouble, bang it in row Z.
Yeah.
Why won't they do that? Which is old fashioned, yes, but I'd sooner see the ball in row Z rather than it being passed to their number 10, who incidentally is one of the best players in League One, and I wish he was in our squad. Bloody good player.
Connolly.
Agreed. Yeah.
Connolly and the other kid they had up front, Ballard, two exceptional players. And I just want to mention something which I saw a couple of comments on social networking that Leyton Orient were a pub team. They were an excellent side on Saturday, and I tell you something, they won't be far away from the playoffs.
No, I think because I know David wants to come in now. I just want to say a couple of quick things. So last season they came from nowhere, and of course they went all the way, and I can see them doing that again because they're decent. There's no doubt about that. Also, to go to Jeff's comment about our show. I don't think we're necessarily having a big old pop at him. He did make a couple of fairly major errors in that match, but myself, for what it's worth, I think he's going to be a top signing for us. I think he's a good footballer, good football in centre half. Made a couple of mistakes. Who doesn't make mistakes? We all make mistakes, don't we? David, you want to come in?
Yeah, I mean, I was strongly critical of Osho on Saturday. But I mean, the players you mentioned there, Don Murray, Brian Harris, Jason Perry, Phil Dwyer, they're experienced internationals, FA Cup winners, etc., etc. Osho's played about 3 games for us, if that's. So all these kids, they've all got to be given chance to grow up together now. And, whether they grow up and get promoted this year or next year. But you'd like to think in 4 or 5 years' time, we could have a really good squad if we hold on to them. And yes, you're going to get the odd error of judgment, to be generous. So I think, comparing him to some of those legends you mentioned, a little bit unfair on the kid.
Yeah, I'm talking about a generational change in football style, really.
Exactly. Is right. You wouldn't have, Perry knocks at the David, who puts it inside the Derek Brazil, who rolls it back to the keeper. That's not going to happen, is it? But
shame.
It's at times it was nerve-wracking. I said at times it was the worst game, at times it was the best game. Absolutely crazy.
What about 7 goals? 7 goals. Firstly, I can't remember a 4-3. Actually, I can't remember the last one. I can't remember it. But the other thing about David, I want to ask you, talking about not remembering stuff, that goal from Dylan Lawler, I can't remember. Maybe somebody listening or watching now, or maybe Steve or somebody like Dave, I don't remember. Somebody like Gary Bennett, I remember, coming forward with the ball and being great at that. But I can't remember the last time a central defender had a run like that, got all the way into the box and stuck in the back of the net.
I remember Mark Delaney scoring a goal of quite similar.
That's a good point. That's a good call.
Quality. He was playing sort of right back at the time, and he actually came from further back than Dylan Lawler. But the closest I can remember, we were away at Manchester City, and we were holding our own. And Toure thought, I've had enough of this. And he just waltzed through our midfield and booted the ball into the net. And Lawler's wasn't quite like that, but that's kind of what he reminded me of. But he was a bit more languid than Toure. There was a bit more of the sort of the Jason Fowler, Mark Delaney about him. But it was it wasn't the greatest strike, and the goalkeeper he'll have unhappy memories of that one. But the goalkeeper I thought was dreadful. It's the worst timekeeper I've ever seen. But on the whole, I thought it was a tremendous goal. And the Delaney, to answer your question, Steve, the Delaney strike, I think you could imagine Gabidon doing a similar thing as well, couldn't you?
Yeah. There's a comment for you, Rich, from Steve Thomas. He says, "Evening, gents. Good to see Richard on. It is great to get new people on the show. Actually, our team's working out how to play us at CCS more. Unbeaten away, only one goal conceded. A penalty at Stockport. We've yet to be worked properly away, and of course, that's." But we had the 2 defeats, and at one stage on the weekend we were 3-2 down to Orient, Rich, and before the game, everyone on the panel said, "Well, that's 6 points. Here we go, top." We only had to beat Burton to go top of the league, right? Is there something in that? Have we been sussed? Because my thoughts on it are, leading on from that, I'll just throw it out there, it's in my head now, is my one concern really with us is that we have it's great that we got a young squad, right? But the byproduct of us having such a young squad that if you come up against a team like like Orient, they made playoff final last year, experienced, hardened pros, been together a long time. Do you think we ever get a bit bullied, a bit kind of they take advantage of the youth of our players a bit, or is that just a crazy thing to say, Rich?
I think what we're realising is we're coming up against, I think, if you look at the first month or so, or up to, I suppose, the end of August, the level of the teams we played wasn't that great in terms of how the table is now panning out. And I just feel like you said then, Steve, Leighton Orient were playoff finalists last year. They had a real good side. I mean, I think Steve Wiggins said about Connolly, up front, he's absolutely brilliant. And I'd forgotten he'd gone there. So, and he was at Millwall last year, and he was on a free last summer, and I was actually hoping we'd sign him, and we didn't. So to see, I think there is an element that we are getting bullied by teams, especially I think Stockport done it. I know earlier in the season Port Vale done it. But again, they're away games. At home, are we getting bullied? I suppose to an extent, yes, we are, and we're not getting the decisions because you think how many times, for example, Yusuf Salek's getting bullied in the box at home.
Although he does give a bit as well, doesn't he?
Yeah, and how many times you're not getting the decisions there? Does it come back to the sort of point of view was made of or was spoken about by many people earlier in the season and in pre-season as well, and certainly when where a lot of people were saying I want a more experienced head in midfield, or I would like a battler, someone who can put a tackle in, someone who can G the players up around. When you've got a lot of youngsters, yes, they're all fluid, they're all playing excellent football, and they're all playing with confidence. Yeah, but I do feel as though we are sometimes. I know we got experience up front in Callum Robinson, and Perry Ng when he plays. Sometimes I feel as though we are lacking that old head in there. When you look at someone like I'm trying to think of a team, but again, I suppose Connolly for Leighton Orient. Maybe we are lacking that physical. I mean, football's not so much a physical game these days, is it? It's the referees will blow up for anything now. Even if you lay a finger on someone, it's a foul. Yeah. But you do something.
Sorry, I thought Max Power, the captain of Bradford, was a very influential figure in midfield.
That's a good example. Yeah,
Max Power, but
good name, isn't it?
He has a great name for it. That sounds like
it's the car magazine, wasn't it?
We're making batteries.
But he controlled the game, he influenced the game, he stopped the game. He was a very, very influential player. I thought you imagine him alongside, Ruben and Joel Colwell,
Yeah, I think, if we imagine we had like someone like a Richard Carpenter or a Willie Boland, like an enforcer in midfield, who could just break play up and just be a little bit, I don't think we get that with Ryan Wintle. I'm not a big fan of Wintle. I think he's a bit too. I don't know. I feel he's too slow sometimes for us.
But then that's kind of the quandary, I think, Rich, really, because we had two experienced players. To me, we had Robbo and we had Wintle, really. And then so Wintle's like more of a traditional pro. Maybe we just got to, his experience is having that kind of cool head and that experience, and maybe at times is an asset as well as raw pace.
Yeah, can I ask you? Do you think that we would have been better off keeping Andy Renamotor and deploying him there in the holding midfielder role? Because I know that's his natural position, but last year we played him out of position at right back for a long season. Do you think we were wrong to let Andy go in the summer and bring Wintle back from Millwall? Because why I ask this, I was a little bit irked with Ryan Wintle last year because, and I know it was probably directing towards him with Reza, but I didn't like the fact that he was on social media most weeks laughing when we were losing and posting comments like sarcastic sort of emojis and things. And I thought that was quite a bad taste really by him to do such a thing. And then now to see him back in the team, I'm thinking, well, there's been no sort of explanation from you why you would do that. I don't know whether he thought he had no future at the club and that's why he was doing it. I've since, someone said to me it was aimed at Reese, it wasn't aimed at the club. That could well be, but I just kind of think at the time, I don't know, I feel as if we were a bit silly to let Andy Renamotor, who was our players player of the year last year, it was silly and a bit quick to let him go and bring Wintle back. I know Wintle's done okay. Wintle's
he generally has done okay, hasn't he?
Yeah. I just feel as though he hasn't got that ugly side to him,
No. Steve, I want to bring you in because there's a comment which I know you'll like this one. Let me just try and find it a second. Here it is. Watch Steve's face now. You'll like this one straight away. Now is the time to play Salak and Robertson. In other words, two up front, Steve. We're in the lower league now, and two recognised forwards can't be taking a risk at this level. And to back that up, I know I'm so old school, all the stuff I talk about, but I do quite like. I think those two together are quite a potent force at this level. And when we changed at the end, because from 3-2 down, we turned it round. Let's face it, right? And having those two up front, and then having we're going to kind of three at the back, and all the rest of it moving it around. All of a sudden, I thought we were fairly unplayable, actually.
Yeah, if it was. After what I saw on Saturday, I think that's our best ploy, certainly at home, is to play two up. Well, Robinson was sort of just behind Salek, but it did not make a difference when the two of them were up there together. And that's why I prefer personally at home, three at the back. There may even be a case, Steve, you may even see Osho push into Wintle's position in the future. You may see
he's a good footballer. I think he's a really good footballer.
Yeah. And just marshalling in front of the defence and have the defence behind him, but definitely the two up front. And when Kellyman came on, Kellyman really on the right, he looked excellent. And I think as he gathers more fitness, I think he's probably going to be one of the first names on that team sheet. And as soon as Kellyman came on, Capaccio was a totally different player. Transformed.
He looks a lot better further forward, doesn't he?
He does, yeah. Which makes, for me, it makes better sense then to play that three at the back, push our fullbacks into midfield and have them bombing on more. It makes, and then you get Kellyman getting to the byline, fizzing the ball back, and Robinson banging the ball in. I mean, both those goals from Robinson and Salek were from crosses from the byline. Hallelujah.
So I'm glad you mentioned that because Jeff's sorry, an early hallelujah. Sorry, that's so there. is that Jeff is moaning that we haven't talked about how great the goals were on the weekend that we scored. So, Steve, what was? I think I know what my favourite one was. What was your favourite goal? Because it ties into what you're saying. Because Kellyman on one occasion did a beautiful, audacious flick, which took him away and just created the space. And another time he was in the box, he tripped over his own feet. I think otherwise it would have been back the net. But what was your favourite goal? And you can talk us through it, Steve, if you want to.
Well, I did enjoy Lola's goal. I take Dave's point that the keeper maybe could have done better, but that the kid won the ball in our own half. I think we were 5 yards inside our own half, so that was a great goal. But I think for a pure adrenaline rush, it's got to be Robinson's goal. And I look back on it today, and lo and behold,
what a move that was.
Yeah, I didn't notice this during the game, but Robinson actually was involved in the start of that move as well. But it was just a fantastic sweeping move. And to get the ball, we won the ball virtually just inside their half, then pushed inside. Robinson played the ball. It went out wide I think Colwell put it out wide, but it was just a great sweeping move. And it was almost like the Canton stand sucked the ball into the net. It was a pure adrenaline rush that was on Saturday. I really enjoyed that.
It was the fact. It was David. The thing about that, like I said, I don't know this guy. I may never see him again. But we became quite intimate and close on the weekend. when that second ball went in, it was just it just another one. Are you having a laugh? Really? It was just fantastic thing. And I think David, people talk about the idea of great match to the neutral. Even neutral, why'd you go? Why would you bother going? You're going to support one of the clubs, aren't you?
I completely agree. If you're an armchair fan who just never misses a match in front of the telly and don't really care who wins or loses, you'd love it. But if you're like us, you'd have hated that match on Saturday because it was an emotional, torture chamber. It really was. There's nothing to beat going to a match as a committed individual with skin in the game. There really isn't. Sometimes I wish I didn't care so much, but what would I do with the time?
Yeah. Well, that's another phone in, that is, Dave.
That is.
So Reese has come in with a good one here, David. You might like this one because this is quite statistical and tactical. So thank you, Reese. So it stayed 4-2-3-1. It did seem to open up and give us more width, and we suddenly seem to have two strikers. But Ruben dropped to an 8. Apparently, Robbo played the 10, did it perfectly. Late runs into the box, and how he got his second goal. So this modern game, Dave, I don't know, what's going on now.
I mean, Callum Robinson plays in this false 47 role, doesn't he?
It's a bus, isn't it?
Jason Perry described him as he likes to play in the pockets.
Yeah.
Jason Perry puts a positive spin on it there, whereas I would say get in the bloody box because he's a very good. I mean, as he showed in that first goal, you knew he was going to score. It was a one-on-one. You think of the players like Etete last season and last couple of years. You couldn't guarantee they were going to score, but Robinson. He's a proper striker. It's like a proper girlfriend. And he's
confident now, isn't he? He's scoring goals,
And he's got. I think I was talking about statistics there. I think I worked out he's got 5 in 5 games. He's only on the list of league scorers I was looking up on the weekend. He's only got 3, but of course he also scored against Exeter in whatever he's got, and he scored against Burnley. I think he's got 5 in 5 games.
Yeah.
And Salak, I think, has scored in the last.
Yeah, I was really glad he got that pen. Actually, you give him a bit of confidence, Yeah.
Yeah. So, to play them both, that's quite a strong argument. I thought the guy we kept calling him the guy from Chelsea. I thought he was a revelation on the wing. He did bring the best out of Capaccio, who I'm not sure is a great defender.
Jeff's point there is a good one, isn't it? Because I think with Capaccio, I don't know, but maybe we'll go round on Capaccio. Capaccio is a fantastic talent. He's a joy, but he just, to me personally, he looks a bit exposed as an out-and-out right back, and I certainly see him more as a wing back, even a winger. He's got pace to burn. He's great on the ball. He's confident with the ball at his feet. Do you want to start on that one, Dave? Any thoughts on that, and maybe get Capaccio further forward?
I mean, just widening it from Capaccio, I think if we were having this conversation in 2 years' time, Capaccio would have settled and developed. Bagan is a good player. Lawler is just peerless. Fish I like, but they've all got to grow up together. Joel Colwell goes in under the radar. People forget how young Ruben Colwell is. Isaac Davis, Ashford, and all of a sudden, you've got not all of a sudden, but you've got the nucleus of a strong squad. Capaccio, when I've seen him, he's one of those players. I used to think this about Darcy Blake. You want to like him, you really do want to like him, but I think if he wasn't Welsh and a local youngster, you might think, oh, get rid of him. If he was Andy Rinamoto, I'd be criticising him all over the place. But there's a footballer in there. He just needs time to settle and develop and mature. And I'm going tomorrow night, actually. I thought it might be an interesting evening out. I hope they play this young 16-year-old, this Polish
That'd be fantastic, wouldn't it? Yeah.
I want to see him just against the worst team in the league to see what happens.
Well, we'll see, won't we? We'll see tomorrow.
We'll probably lose 1-0.
Well, we'll come on to that because it's a really interesting one tomorrow, in a way. Rich, any thoughts on Capaccio? As I mean, obviously Perry NG wasn't available, but do you see that as maybe the future for him, maybe being further forward?
It's hard to say. I think he's definitely got good attacking attributes. I mean, I saw him last season play against Southampton in the League Cup early on. I think it was that finished 5-3 that game. It was an entertaining game. Ruben Colwell would best that day. And Ronan Capaccio looked really nervous, really like as if he was rabbit in the headlights, and then we didn't see much of him then the rest of the season. Although I was hearing lots of good reviews about him. He came into the team this year and has looked a revelation in the first month or so. I think going away on international duty last month didn't really help him so much. I think his confidence took a bit of a knock in against that Canada game. And then he came back, and then he had a knock, didn't he? And then Perry came back in. Probably done him good that actually to come out of the team, and then for a few games, and then now he's found his way back in again. Obviously Perry's injured, but I mean, I like him. I think he looks a confident young lad. I mean, we forget
he's going to make mistakes, isn't he? He's young.
He is, and
he's going to make mistakes.
18 still,
So young. I think David's getting a smoke machine out just to say there's something going on down there. But,
just getting my.
There's a dry ice attack coming in, Steve. Remember the dry ice days?
He reminds me, Capaccio, when he was linked up on the right with Kellyman on Saturday. He reminded me a bit like that relationship Gary Neville and David Beckham used to have at Man United, where they'd overlap one another.
Oh yeah,
or underlap one another, if you like.
Yeah,
they call it, where one will, and Gary Neville, when you saw, he put so many crosses into the box, high and low crosses. You'd see balls going in, fizzing in, and you think amazing, But I think there's a play there with Capaccio. I think.
Definitely.
I think he'll have a long future with us and probably go further as well. But in terms of, I think if we can manage both him and NG, if we're looking at a team more physical and saying it might be better to put NG in there, then do so. I think team that we can attack and we can get at, or perhaps they're not so strong on the left side. Put Ronan in and tell him to run at him, because I think especially as well if the defence can move across. Again, it goes back to what the guys are saying as well about changing formations. If we go 3 at the back, he might even look even better again, and that might suit him more,
Yeah. So I'm just going to give Steve quickly a chance to comment on that idea of Capaccio playing further forward, and I don't know. I mean, it looks like our formation is our formation, and that's kind of how we play. I thought we changed it a bit. Should we just suddenly seem to have loads more space? Maybe we just went for it then in that case. But any thoughts on? You're obviously a Capaccio fan already, Steve, I guess.
I am, yeah. I think we've all got to take into account, as we've sort of touched on earlier, his age, and he's a very young kid. He gave the ball away 3 times around our box in the first 10-20 minutes, and I was screaming at him, and I said to myself, just shut up. He's better going forward than he is defending at the moment, Steve. Whether whether that'll be coached into him or whether he will develop as a wing back. I think he's better going forward, and he's certainly not void of confidence, as you said there.
No.
And
He's
the
capable,
way
but he wants the ball, doesn't he?
he wants the ball, and the way he teamed up with Kellyman on that right hand side the last 20 or so minutes was really superb. So I think that's probably his best position for me.
What about the comment from Steve? The comment from Jamie there, because Jamie always comes with interesting stuff. He said, starting lineup, there's a couple of dodgy ones, and if you like, maybe we didn't have the right formation, but the game management maybe is beyond what any of us expected. So all credit to BBM, because you did change it and we did go on to win. So that's a fair point, isn't it?
It is, yeah, and it's nice to see that we've got someone on the side that can do that, Steve, because we haven't had that for such a long time. We needed that on Saturday because their manager is an excellent manager. And the way, just to touch on Orient, the way those two kids up front, Ballard and Connolly, were only small blokes, but I tell you what, they did not get stuck into us. And I just felt at times we were lacking someone just to put a little boot, just to remind them that they were up against, yes, a very good, skillful tactical team, but also someone that can give it back as well. Because I think we lacked a bit of strength and physicality Saturday against a team that. Against a team that are very streetwise, and you'll see Orient in the top 6 at the end of the season if they play like that, because the left back who's on loan from Crystal Palace, I wish he was on loan with us.
He was quite good, wasn't he?
There's another excellent player. Yeah. But you know what they were good at doing Saturday, Steve? They were very good. They knew exactly how far they could push that referee. I mean, Salek I've never seen so many hands over a centre forward. And how the hell the referee never blew a couple of those up, I've no idea.
So just to say, this is unusual for me, but I'm gonna say about the ref. Actually, to his credit, I actually thought what I quite liked about it. He might have overdone it. But I'm with you, Sophie. Let's face it, he does put himself about, it's 51, 50. There were occasions where he could have given it. I thought he actually quite tried to let the game flow, Steve, and a lot of things go that other referees would have blown up for, which maybe added to the excitement of the game. So
I'm sort of with you there, Steve. But I think they played on that. They whether they saw it better than us, and because they didn't they were very good at just leaning into us, giving us digs, and they got away with a lot on Saturday, and it got them back into the game. So I think we just need to be a little bit more streetwise now and again. Whether that comes from playing someone like Chambers in front of the back four just to remind them, I don't know, but but it was an exciting game, blimey. Good for the neutral, you said earlier. I really enjoyed it.
But David, I don't know whether you were thinking the same thing as I was. I looked around at one stage; it was 3-2 to Orient. I thought, blimey, around we lost to Burton, and now we're losing to Orient. What's going on here? A nosedive, and then we just turned it around. But luckily we did, and hopefully it was a wake up call for us. But Jonathan Mordecai comes in with literally 2 words. I'm going to try and pronounce it. I think it's Tankiewicz, maybe. Robert Tankiewicz. Apologies to any Polish fans, but wasn't it great to see him running them down on the line, Dave, until the last seconds of injury time? I want to play. Incredible in the 16-year-old kid.
You couldn't have brought him on in that game.
No, you couldn't have done that. No.
At what point would you have brought him on? You can't.
Yeah, I'm not saying we should have brought him on. I'm just saying he's absolutely up for it. He's 16 years old.
Oh, yeah. And he's delete Tankovic, insert Capaccio. But I think, as one of my colleagues said, Capaccio wanted the ball, and I think he's one of those players like Ruben Colwell used to be. You want to bring him on when you're 3-4, 5-0 up against tiring defenders to find his feet, show his pizzazz. All I say, you couldn't have brought him on Saturday because we were always either chasing the game or trying to close the game down. If he plays tomorrow, that is, of course, if the game goes ahead tomorrow, because we've got 5 players in the Welsh first team squad, another 2 or 3 in the under 21s. I don't know if Newport have got any players in the under 21s. it might be a factor unless there's been, words behind the scenes. I don't know. That's a red herring. But I'm looking forward to seeing this youngster.
Yeah, I think it's a fair chance he might get a look in. I can't remember how many players have got missing tomorrow, but it's a crazy amount. By the way, isn't it great that Isaac and Ruben are in the Welsh squad? And in Ruben's case, not before time.
It was ridiculous because I went to a press conference with Craig Bellamy, and everybody wanted to ask, why are you playing Bellamy, not Caldwell? And Bellamy made this articulate defence in aid of Ramsey. Sorry, he's a good player. He's still got the brains. We got legs all around him, and if I can pick him, why wouldn't I? And then, surprise, he gets an injury and thinks, actually, I won't fly back from Mexico for these 2 games, and we bring in Caldwell anyway. Well, I think Bellamy might or even should lose patience with Ramsey. Great player though he was, but he's just always injured.
Yeah,
it's a sustainable choice, I don't think. When you've got the likes of Caldwell, and even though I hate him, Liam Cullen at Swansea City, who's performing regularly in the Championship.
He's a lovely lad there. I don't know why you hate him.
Harry Wilson, they get Jordan James, Harry Wilson, Ethan Ampadu's back.
Yeah.
So I'm delighted for Ruben Caldwell.
Yeah.
Cardiff City got 5 players in the Welsh team squad. Could we have 2 Cardiff City youngsters playing at Wembley Stadium? That'd be fun.
Yeah. Well, it wouldn't surprise me to see giving youth a run and maybe giving Capaccio a little run at some point in that match.
I really hope he starts with Lawler. I really, really do.
Yeah. So, Rich, on a slightly different topic, the squad picture, it comes out around about. I remember the old days of the old South Wales Echo pull out. There would be the picture a few months of the season. The picture's there. Any thoughts at all on the fact that okay, he's obviously not getting the look in, and he's on the way up. That Jack Alnwick's not even deemed fit enough to sit, as seat to have a picture taken.
Well, I was quite interested actually when I seen the picture. There was Jack Alnwick's admission, and Alex Robertson's facial expression, which could just be at that second, But Alnwick, I was surprised with, especially because he was the captain last year for a large season. We've entrusted him for a few years now. I mean, he did come in as the number 2 behind Ryan Alsop originally, but then won a place in the team and was sort of our goalkeeper for the last, I suppose, 2 or 3 seasons.
He had some good games, I thought.
Yeah. I mean, he had his moments. I don't think he's terrible.
He's not a footballer, if you like. That's what it's about these days.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's as good as Nathan Trott, but I don't think he needs to. I don't think. And I'm really a big fan of Matt Turner. So, I think it's a little bit poor how he's been treated. I think especially when you look at within, we've got all this extra cup competition. Surely they could have found a place for him or played him in one of them games. It seems though strange that he's not even sat on the bench in any of them. I did see as well after the Plymouth game. I don't know if you remember when they lifted up the Sol Bamba sort of, was it? There was a flag, wasn't it? Sorry, a scarf, wasn't it? I think it was Ruben, and then Brian Barry Murphy held up, and then did they have a flag as well afterwards? I can't remember. And then they rolled it. There was a picture of the players in the changing room afterwards, and Jack Alnwick was in the picture, and everyone was smiling. And someone commented and said, "Look at Alnwick's reaction," and he just was stone faced, and it was sort of it was the face of a man who perhaps wasn't happy being there, which was quite sad, really, because I think the transfer window was still open at that time, I think, or just about. So maybe he was perhaps looking for a move. But the other one I was going to say with that team photo was Alex Robertson didn't look too happy. I heard rumours that perhaps he might be moving in January. I don't know. I mean, just with regards to what David was saying about international football as well, you touched with him. I think he's away with Australia as well, so I don't know if he'll play tomorrow, which is a shame because that would have been a good game for Alex to have played tomorrow night and for us to see him. And I know we got two or three lads at the under-21s on, I know Ashford's, Nyakwa, and I think there's someone else as well. I've gone the under-21s. I can't remember who, but so it's a wonder that the game is on because we are missing so many. But yeah, certainly with Jack Alnwick, it is a concern, and it's
It just seemed a bit unnecessary to me, to that old phrase, you can go and play with the kids. You can't even do that, and just to actually absolutely ostracize him, that he's not even, at the moment, as far as I know, he's, for what it's worth, and it does mean something to a certain to our fan base, really, the disabled fan group at the club. Jack's a representative this year. He was a captain. Just seems, I don't know, man. I don't know. It just seems unnecessary to totally ostracise him. Just seems
I wonder if something gone on behind closed doors we're not aware of. Or
we don't know. Maybe.
Again, like Ethan Horvath, perhaps Matt Turner done well in pre-season, and Brian Barry Murphy has said to him, "Look, I'm going to go with Turner." I'm trying to think in our first game of the season because Trott wasn't available, was he, against Peterborough? Was Alnwick on the bench that day?
No, don't think he was. Was he?
Turner played.
Turner played, yeah.
Who was our sub goalie that day? I'm trying to think who it was. Was it?
Not sure. He was.
Or was it Horvath? But
might have been Horvath.
It might have been Horvath.
Yeah.
So that's interesting then. So I wonder, was he trying to get a move away and couldn't quite maybe something, and then the downside of that is he's being ostracised a bit. It's a shame if that is the case because, like you see, he's done a lot of good for the club and he's a popular guy around the place and seems to have and his performances don't warrant that. I think he deserves better than that, really. As you said, he could have been included in that team photo, and he's an able third choice goalie, isn't he? Let's be fair,
Maybe I'm just a sentimental old fool, Well, I'm an old fool anyway, so that's fair enough. Steve, Paul Williams has come in with this, and this is I'm really glad you did this, Paul, because it reminded me of something. Talking about deadly duo strikers, there's two former players in this division who are above them with goals. Josh McGuinness and James Collins, yeah. So Josh McGuinness, of course, I'm right, Steve. I know. He was he a goalkeeper for us? Am I right in thinking that?
Yeah, he was.
And then he went and started playing up front. It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, he was the keeper, and he started banging in goals. Then, the other fellow who scored a multitude of goals for Luton and teams like that, he couldn't hit a barn door for us, could he? Really strange, James Collins. He's just one of those players.
I'd like to know who that in front of, because Robinson has scored 5, and I'm not sure Salikman scored 3 or 4. Yeah. Colwell has got 3.
I think it's Mason Burstow with Bolton has got 5 or 6, I think, as well.
Yeah, the guy at Bolton has got 2, but those 2 players,
Okay. It might be the confusion of a cup goals versus league goals, I don't know.
Yeah.
But Josh McGuinness, I was going to say, because talking about Josh McGuinness, Steve, right? Nathan Trott, I think he started out as a winger.
Did he?
Yeah, honestly, I think so. Yeah, I think he started out as a winger, and then Josh McGuinness started out as a keeper. Now he's one of the top scorers in the division.
That's interesting. On the subject of Trott, though, Steve, a little tip of the hat to Trott, because he made 3 world-class saves there on Saturday.
He does. He always does.
And very, very crucial times of the game as well. And he's and let's be honest, all the signings so far, Kellyman as well looks like he's going to be. They look really excellent.
He's going to be really good.
Yeah, and I know he's only 26, and Murphy was talking about him on Saturday, but excellent shot stopper. He's just a bit sort of over elaborate with some of his playing out at the back, but
he's doing keepy on the goal line,
Yeah,
and he's doing the keepy stuff,
Yeah, brilliant though. Yeah, but an excellent acquisition for sure. One of my favourites.
Yeah. There's a comment here, which is really lovely, Steve, and I think you'll like this because I know you've been involved in the radio industry over the years, and charity appeals and giving things back to society, and showing and admiring how people can show that they care. And it's really lovely that Peter's put this comment in there. It's nice to see people care. Pleased to see the Orient goalkeeper didn't suffer any more cramp after he went 4-3 up. I was really worried for him.
I was, as I say, I like to go to football matches because I can be my alter ego, and I was yelling at him when we were 4-3 up. What's the cramp? What's the cramp? And he was, I know it's gamesmanship, it's killing the game, it's game management, call him what you will, and we'd do the same if the shoe was on the other foot. But something's got to be done about these mystery injuries that goalies keep getting late in the game. And then when there's a corner, all of a sudden, this bloke goes, an Orient defender, no, Burton it was, a Burton defender goes down with this, life-threatening head injury in the 92nd minutes. Oh. And then all of a sudden, he's back up.
It was crazy.
Something's
a yard off the line, roll him off.
And there was another moment, related. There was an injury. The keeper was injured, and we had a corner, and half the Orient team went off for a drink of water.
They did,
yeah, I saw that.
The keeper stood up.
Yeah.
Including that left back, he led them actually.
Because all the Orient team were having a drink of, half a lager or whatever it was.
Yeah. Jaffa cake.
Something's got to be done about it,
Yeah. There's some fantastic comments in here. Go on, Steve.
I was going to say that's down to the.
You don't get this unless you go to the games. It's my earlier.
No, I know, no.
Yeah.
But we were screaming there, Dave, at the linesman. I mean, the linesman and the fourth official should step in there. I mean, the referee was more concerned with our casualty patient there, whether he was going to appear later on in the evening on an episode of Casualty. So it's
with an inquest.
Well, it's up to the fourth official, surely, and the lino.
Ball boy magnificent as well. There was a moment when there was one ball on the pitch, and the ball boy threw another guy out the ball on the pitch. They took the throw quick on, and it was scored.
Yeah. We need the ball boys in those positions for sure if we're going to play that way. But the fourth official.
Steve, I've got a great idea for you. Right, you get the ball boys. Yeah, you get one ball boy on either post. Goalkeeper goes down with cramp, and they roll him off. Stick him in the back of the
net. You want a back three with the ball boys wide, pushing forward.
Now we're talking. Martin Ryan says Higgs is our third choice keeper, and Jeff's chipped in with the youngster Tanky, I think his nickname is. He's in the under-17 squad. He's going to be a player. It's got something about him. I don't know. Just seen him running up and down the line. Just got something about him. And I think he's a bit cocky, which is great at his age. I don't know. He saw the thing from Sean Burgess. Ola. So Sean, he's tuned in Almeria. Enjoying the show, which is nice. And Rich, I've heard that Newport are bringing 1,500 fans to the game tomorrow, and they're currently bottom of the Football League, right? But we've hardly got any players. Do you have any concern about that tomorrow? And it's difficult to get too worked up about that kind of game, but it wouldn't be very nice if we got turned out by Newport at home, would it?
I have got a concern about it, especially if Osho plays a back pass like he did on the weekend. Yeah, but no, all jokes aside, I have got a bit of a concern because, like we saw against Burton last week, when we're expected to win, a team's coming here to us and really digging in, and they might do the same. They might nick a goal. But I was thinking earlier, I wonder what the lineup's going to be tomorrow night, because we got so many. I don't know if Callum Robinson has been called up by Ireland or not. I'm not sure. I don't think he's been in the last few squads, so I don't know if he'll be available and whether he'll play again or not. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, Isaac, he's been called up now with Ruben as well, so that's two less. Alex Robinson's away, so kind of you just trying to think who's left, who's going to make up the team. Maybe Tanky will play. If he does, he'll be the youngest player to ever play for us, I believe.
Well, he's in the under-17s for Wednesday, so whether there be any kind of levity from the Wales setup in terms of I don't know for that level, or whether they'll want him with the squad, and that's just the end of it. There's a couple of great comments in here. Sorry, what was that?
I can see it being called off.
It's possible. Of course, BBM's very unhappy about it, isn't he? It's put us in
as well.
A bit of a crazy situation.
Sorry, Steve. I was going to say, what about Kieran Evans and Reindorf, who we've loaned out to Newport? Are they allowed to play against us, or they are? I mean, they can't put their boots on and have a game for us just to make the numbers up, can they?
I got no idea, but I'd imagine that they would be for any cup. They'd be cup tied, wouldn't they?
Well, you'd think you'd think we put a block on them playing it. I mean, we're a bit handicapped with all our players that are on. Really, the game. Dave's right. The game should be postponed, really, because there's so many players that we haven't got access to tomorrow. It's crazy, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Don't we think?
Yeah.
You never know. Maybe Trott might end up back on the wing, you know, and might be in goal, you know. Yeah. No, but Steve, you're right. It is. I think I found it. Yeah. So he played there before, didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Kieran Evans is not at Newport, but Reindorf's at Newport. Thank you, Martin. Reindorf's at Newport, though, isn't he? The striker.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, he is. And Antwi, Antwi next player is their permanent player.
Antwi's one of the best players, I think, isn't he?
We've got a keeper at Penabont as well. I think.
Yeah.
I think it's Penabont.
Do we want to make a prediction for this game tomorrow? I don't know. You know.
I'll go 5-4 City.
Good call. Good call.
Jumpers for goalposts.
I saw us play Newport, I think, around about this stage in the Welsh Cup in Ninian Park before we moved grounds, and it was 1-1, and it was a horrendous game, and it went to penalties and we lost. So 1-0 Cardiff. 1-0. I was going to say 1-0. Go on pens again.
You're right about Luke Armstrong.
I think that was the FAW trophy.
Yeah.
I'm going 1-0 Newport.
Okay. I can't even be bothered making a prediction, to be honest. But there's Snoods, has come through with an attempt at the lineup. So Turner, Spears on the right, Fish, Chambers. That's not a bad call. Left back, we don't know. Osho, Turnbull, Kellyman, Perrott, Willock, Robinson, Salak. They're all going to be around. I suppose they can all play.
Yeah.
I think there's some sort of ruling, David, you might know more than me, you probably do, to do with the teams you put out in this competition have to be somewhere near representative of your league squad if they're available, I think.
Yeah, that probably is the case. I'm not quite sure how that fits in when we play Arsenal in the 21s.
Yeah.
I'm quite looking forward to it, actually. I wish it was
maybe there's dispensation for that.
But
I think it's because they called the under-21s. It's different ruling.
Suppose you get a couple of injuries or you want to make some changes and you take off, I don't know, Turnbull, Perrott and Robinson, who would you bring on? I can't think of any more names.
Kids. We're down to even younger kids, aren't we? Then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose you've got to think of it in, what they call...
Timothy will be up for it. Trust me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, they'd love to put one over on us. So Jonathan, thanks, Jonathan, has resolved that. 4 players need to be regulars. That's why one team made 4 subs in the first minute last round. So
yes.
That's interesting.
Robbie Savage played Forest Green.
Yeah.
There's loads and loads and loads of comments.
I'll tell you who that was. It was Forest Green. Robbie Savage did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just something weird with Kellyman, didn't we? And it wasn't in that competition we brought him on the first half, took him off after half an hour or something. I think we did.
Wasn't it? I think.
Yeah. Another cup, so many cups, so many games. It's crazy.
Against TNS in the Welsh Cup final last year, very similar.
There's no game on the weekend, obviously, now because the Barnsley match was, because of the international call-ups and whatever, because Wales got a chance to put one over on England on Thursday and then a massive game next week. So it is a Monday, so there will be a show, because obviously people could watch it at some point, otherwise it goes out on 3 radio stations. So I can't really pull the show, so there will be a show next week. I'll see what I can do, see if I can get somebody interesting both apply to come on the show. But in the meantime, thanks for a great show, and we'll see you soon. Cheers, guys. Thank you.
All the best, Steve.
Thank
you. Surprise, motherfucker.